Hey everybody, welcome back. Still feeling a little bit under the weather. I think I had an upper respiratory infection. I didn't go to the doctor, but that's my wife ended up going to the doctor. That's what they diagnosed her with. So she probably caught it from me. Daughter seems to be okay. I still got stuff inside my sinus. The last like 2 days, yesterday and today, it's like here, I'm just feeling so much damn sinus pressure, and I'm still blowing a lot of stuff out, coughing stuff up. So I'm hoping to be better by this week. The job's going good. Wednesday was the last day for the kids, and Wednesday, even though I'm not doing the normal routine, now we're doing deep cleanings at work, and the teachers some of them were leaving. A couple teachers were leaving, so they were purging a bunch. It was really busy with trash on Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. Trash recycling and breaking down cardboard boxes. Got until July 22nd to get all these deep cleanings done. Already started doing quite a bit of it, but it was all the teachers. They had to turn in their keys yesterday, and they don't get them back until the beginning of the year, and July 22nd. And mainly I was just doing a shitload of garbage runs, recycling runs, and it's really unusually cool. Arizona, this time of year, we're like at least like 15 to 20 degrees below average. Normally it's already in the triple digits. I had to spend a lot of time outside running garbage out and recycling, and I remember telling my coworker, I'm like, yeah, thank God. Otherwise I would have waited until dark. But I told him it's actually pretty nice that we got a little cool off here. Otherwise, if it was 100 degrees or more, it'd be pretty brutal doing all those garbage runs in that kind of heat. I would more than likely probably be waiting until the sun went down. So everything's great there. Still feeling a little bit under the weather. Trying to stay hydrated and drinking a lot of water and fluids to flush this crap out of me as fast as possible. I still haven't been, I don't know if I've still been sick, but haven't really been sleeping that well. I've been just really tossing and turning a lot throughout the night, waking up and having trouble getting back to sleep, and struggling. Sometimes I get back to sleep for a couple hours, feel even worse. Big game tonight, game 6 between it's really a surprise. I thought that I knew it was going to be a good series, close, but I thought the Bucks were going to take it, which they still have an opportunity to. But another 3 hours. The game is on, game 6, and it's going to be played in Toronto, so definitely gonna be watching that. If Milwaukee wins, it's gonna be pretty tough, But I think the Raptors are gonna take it and meet in the finals with the Golden State Warriors. So that's basketball. And to get to the point of this video, I know I had promised to want to talk about all the fucked up shit, a lot of the fucked up shit that I saw going on, and because I said that you really should want to eat at home more because it's cheaper, better, more nutritious. You know what's going in your food, no hidden calories, no hidden fat, sodium, and the food's safer. You know what's being done to your food. But I saw a lot of fucked up shit going on. I always spoke up. I opposed, but I don't know why. But working in teams, it's just, I guess because I'm an introvert, I always tend to get overruled. But my first job in food service, this is back when I was still in high school, and I was working at the retirement home, and the dishwasher, for some reason, I don't know why, but it was running, but the water, I think there was something wrong with the hot water heater or something like that. The temperature of the water wasn't as hot as it was supposed to be, and people were still using those plates to serve food to the residents, and they were actually laughing about it. Waiters and waitresses were like, "Oh my God, we would be in so much trouble. We'd probably get shut down if the health department knew this was going on," and laughing about it. And there was some prime rib, because we used to use leftover beef, prime rib, stuff like that, for beef barley, vegetable beef soup. And there was some, normally it was just in the fridge or the freezer, but there was some prime rib that was in the freezer for about, I think it was dated too, because we were supposed to date all of our food. It was in there for about 6 months. It shouldn't have been used. It had freezer burn all over it. and the chef was still gonna use it for soup. I guess I wasn't there that day, but the woman who was like the second, like the assistant chef, she wasn't called a sous chef, but she was just called like he was the head chef. He was like called like number one, and she was called the number two, and I was like the number three cook. And I wasn't there that day, but I guess yeah, he was going to use that freezer burned prime rib for vegetable beef or beef barley soup, something like that. And she told him, she's this woman Margaret. She's like, Tom, like you can't do that. And I guess he did it. He was going to use it. And not too much fucked up shit went on there other than those two things. The second job I had was at a restaurant, and it was outside. It was like an outside grill. It was a gazebo, and they had an inside restaurant too. But floors are supposed to be sealed if they're concrete. Most of the restaurants I worked in, they were either tile or if they were concrete, and if it was concrete, it was sealed. But yeah, this one restaurant I worked at, so many health department violations. They had a concrete floor, but it was not sealed. And they were just cracked. It's like you oftentimes wonder what kind of shit was growing in the cracks. There were like cracks and chips in the floor all over the place. And the outside grill, like we didn't have, sometimes the food or the dishes were supposed to be run in, containers. These stainless steel or aluminum pans, whatever, knives, things like that were supposed to be run in through the dish machine. But there was several times that, and there were customers out there too. There were customers out there, sometimes not too many at the end of the night, but yeah, there were times that the guys, they would just, they wouldn't do it the proper way. They would just be in a sink out there with soap. But there were times that like a lot of guys, they would just run the knives under hot water, run the containers under hot water. No, not even any soap, just hot water. No, soap or sanitizing, proper drying, anything like that. So fucking, I'm surprised that I never heard about anybody getting sick, but I'm very surprised more people didn't get sick. And we had nachos. We purchased our cheese sauce in a can, and it was open, and there was like a beetle or a cricket or something that flew into there. Excuse me, it was practically like brand new. Now, it was like probably 3/4 full. I went to throw it out, and the head cook out there was like yelling at me, whoa, whoa, Jeff, what are you doing? And what are you throwing that? Dude, that we barely, we just opened that yesterday. It's like still 3/4 full. What are you doing? Is there something wrong with that cheese sauce? And I showed him. I said, oh, there's like a beetle or a cricket in there. And it's like, come on, natural cheese sauce ain't that expensive. Not like a steak or lobster or anything like that. But yeah, he's like, oh, don't throw that out. He's like, we can't, we got to watch our food cost percentage. So he just took a spatula and threw that part of the cheese sauce out and still continued to use it. So that's pretty disgusting. And we had a yogurt, not frozen yogurt, like a soft serve machine, like chocolate, vanilla, soft serve ice cream. And what we do is at the end of the night, we would, the excess of ice cream that was in there, we would pump the rest out, and then we're supposed to use hot water to flush the rest out. And I saw that you're supposed to use a clean rag, obviously, to dry out the containers inside there, the reservoirs. And I saw so many guys just using like dirty rags, wet, filthy, dirty rags to clean it out. And well, it's pretty disgusting too. And again, they got like bee traps, because the bees got really bad towards the end of the summer, early fall. They had bee traps, fly traps out there. Nighttime mosquitoes got bad. They had a mosquito zapper out there. So fucking disgusting. And so the next job I worked at was a country club, and there was like some chicken wings or chicken breast, I think, I forget exactly which, but I was about ready to throw them out, and because I could tell they weren't totally spoiled yet, but they were starting. They really, you took a whiff, you got a smell of it, and this one cook didn't want to throw them out. He just rinsed the fluid. That was the fluid. It started coagulating. Just rinsed the fluid off and still served them. And the power was out one day. I think it was like, the chef he wanted to save as much as possible, because yeah, this is probably like $2,000-$3,000 worth of food. There were some hamburgers that turned brown that were still served. And there was another day where I think this cheese was starting to go bad. Yeah, because it started kind of, when cheese starts to go bad, it kind of has that fermented smell, kind of like sweat. It kind of smells like almost like alcohol in a way, like rot. Like it almost kind of had that like fermented smell of wine. And yeah, that was still served. There was one day that a chef, he made a batch of, I'm glad the waitress put him in the spot. He made a batch of, or ordered chicken cheese quesadillas, and there was a hair that got in there. I think it was his hair. And he just was about ready to take it out, and the waitress was like, no. She's like, make another order. I don't care if you have to wait. I don't care if I have to wait. I don't care if the customers have to wait. Make another order. You're not serving that. And, yeah, good on you. And then there was one day where I was cooking a chicken breast, and I think the waitress dropped it on the floor, and I offered, I said, I'll make another chicken breast. I don't want you. She's like, oh, no, it's that 5-second real bullshit. She's like, oh, no, it's still good. Like, these guys, they can't wait any longer. These guys are teeing off in 10 minutes, so they only have time for an extra order. And there was a bartender that instead of using a scoop for the ice, he sometimes would he claimed his hands were clean, but yeah, he's still, it's kind of, disgusting in a way. If you have, I got hair, you probably can't see, but I got hair on my fingers, and I got, the back of my hand, I got hair on my forearms. But yeah, he just used to make it easier, he just used to kind of dip his fingers in there and put ice in glasses. That's pretty disgusting. And there was like the restaurant was mostly inside, but there was also like a patio area, and people eat outside. And there was one day that it was pretty hot. I know the bartender couldn't help it, but he was sweating. I'd probably be sweating too. I was sweating bullets, and he was joking around. Like, I mean, he couldn't help it, but one day he was like wiping his the back of his forearm onto his forehead. But one day he admitted, I guess his sweat was getting onto somebody's food, and he said something like, oh yeah, he was kind of a redneck from Texas, and he's like, oh yeah, they're gonna get some, he was total cowboy red accent, but he's like, oh yeah, they're gonna get some extra seasoning on their french fries tonight. It's gonna be from my forehead. Like, oh, that's pretty disgusting. And I think my internship that I did at a beach resort in Sanibel Island, Florida, in the Gulf of Mexico, I didn't see any fucked up shit going on there. That place was pretty strict with sanitation. Let's see, then the next, I worked at a casino in Illinois, and they're pretty sanitary there, pretty strict. But the next restaurant I worked at, I saw a lot of fucked up shit go on there. Well, actually, that casino, yeah, there was like one guy that wasn't sanitary. He used to toss salads. He used to take a shit. He used to take a piss. He'd come right out when you hear the sink running. And this one waitress, like the dishes that he made, like she used to try to discourage people from eating dishes off of the station that he worked at simply because she felt guilty, knowing that his hands were pretty filthy. He had, shit. They were probably up his on his dick or up his butthole or in his nose, who God knows what, and wasn't washing his hands, and tossing salads, serving desserts and appetizers, cold appetizers. And so that was the casino. And then I worked at a seafood restaurant, saw a lot of fucked up shit go on. I think the chef got a food cost. He was really cheap. He hated to throw anything out, which I do too, but it's like, come on, I'm not going to serve customers spoiled food, rotten food, nasty food. But I don't know if he was worried. Like, I don't know if he was going to get fired if the food cost was down, or if the food cost was too high. So he's trying to keep the food cost down, but I also did find out that he got a bonus if he kept the food cost down. So there was one day, there were some steaks that we didn't sell as many steaks as we expected. So they started, after a couple days, they started turning brown, and somebody questioned the chef, like, oh, won't you make somebody sick by doing that? He's like, oh, they won't get majorly sick. Maybe they'll just get the shits or something like that. They'll just, shit their brains out. But he's like, oh, they won't get like, they won't end up getting killed or end up dying. Like, oh, I wouldn't be so sure about that. And also, at one point, we sold a lot of lobster tails on Fridays and Saturdays, and for some reason, this was during the early 2000 back in 2003. Actually, we were in a recession at the time, but the economy was really bad. That was at like the beginning of the Iraq War. A lot of people were losing their jobs, and a lot of people were getting laid off, and business started to drop. Bar businesses started to drop. I noticed that. So these lobster tails, they were spoiled, and the chef was still serving them. He's like, oh, we can't throw these out. These are like gold. And they came back, obviously, a bunch of them. Okay, there was like one table, I think like 10 people all ordered lobster tails. And they all knew that there was something wrong with them. They all came back. And I would have just thrown them out. But he was still going to try to serve them, not as, the lobster tail entree, but I think the other lobster tails that weren't cooked, he was still thinking about trying to serve those. He was like just going to run water on them, squirt some lemon juice on them. He's like, yeah, we can't throw these out. These are like gold. And I think but then he changed his mind. He's like, oh, the manager, because the manager was pretty pissed. He chewed the chef out. Because that was a lot of money lost and, could have been lost business. So, yeah, he had cooked the lobster tails off. I think he was going to still serve them whole like that as entrees. But he's like, we better not. He's like, the manager, his name was Cliff. He's like, oh yeah, he might say, hey, what the fuck did you not learn from last night? But he still served the lobster in a way. He lost money on it. But the other lobster tails were raw, or spoiled, or starting to spoil. He cooked them off in the oven, and then he chopped them up real small and like mixed them into, he's like, we gotta get rid of these. I hate to throw these out. It's like, you're still losing money on. What's the difference, Just throw them out. But yeah, he cooked off the rest of the lobster, chopped them up real small, and made like a crab cream sauce for the fish that was served over that weekend. I think it was like grilled salmon, and he put like the creamy crab sauce over it, and it didn't get sent back at all. But yeah, those customers were eating spoiled crab. Like, wow, I don't know how this chef lived with himself. I don't know how he lived with himself. And we had a refrigerator, a cooler that broke down, like a real small cooler, and there were some mushrooms in there that started to spoil. And he's like, oh, I better use these up before they really go bad. It's such a fucking dumbass, because he ended up putting more food together with these mushrooms. It still ended up going bad, and he ended up losing more money in the long run. So, mushrooms are cheap. He didn't want to throw these regular button mushrooms, I should say. He didn't want to throw these mushrooms out, so he made like cream of mushroom soup with wild rice. And I guess it was okay the first day, but then the second day it started to taste kind of funny, because the chef was like playing dumb. Manager tried the soup again. This is not too long after, so the manager tried the soup, and he's like, Jerry, he was like, yeah, like a British accent, so that's why I'm talking funny like this, but he's like, Jerry, did you try your mushroom with wild rice soup? And he's like, yeah. He's like, yeah, what'd you think? And he's like playing dumb, I thought it was pretty good. And he's like, yeah. And he got a spoon, and he handed it to him. He's like, taste that. So he tried it, and I guess it was so bad, it tasted so bad he had to spit it out. And he's like, yeah, that's fucking disgusting. He's like, my dog eats better than that. And so yeah, I mean, it was just the mushrooms. He was just throwing out the mushrooms, but he put in there chicken broth. He put in the wild rice, so it was perfectly fine. Those two things got thrown out. He put milk in there, got thrown out. I mean, fuck, you fucking dumb. Why would you do that? It's like, you just make yourself look more stupid. I know he hated to lose money, but it's like, you make yourself look more stupid in the long run, especially if you make somebody sick. So, I think that was all for that job. And then, yeah, my next head chef job, I was the head chef, so, yeah, I didn't let any fucked up shit go on there. except there was a dishwasher at times. I know one time he had I made him put a glove on. He had cut himself, and yet he was bleeding, and yet he continued to work. And I'm like, no, Brett, stop working. I'm like, wash your hand, stop the bleeding, put like a Band-Aid on, put a glove on. Like, don't continue to work like that. I don't know what the fuck he was thinking, but yeah, he was really big. And I don't know, he always seemed to be getting colds. Like, we had no heat in the kitchen in the wintertime, and I don't know, he just had allergies or whatnot, but yeah, he was always like blowing his nose and wiping his nose and not washing his hands, and God knows, I think somebody said that he was famous for going to the bathroom too and not washing his hands. Oh, that was the other thing I yelled at him to. Well, he took, I think it was like, I think I said something to him, like, oh, you really shouldn't be doing that, but he said, oh, go on, but still, you're touching your tongue, you could be touching your chin, touching your lips, touching your tongue or your teeth, but he claimed that it was just like, oh, he was just touching what he was eating, but I'm pretty sure he wasn't. He used to, because I think I started keeping the blue cheese in the fridge as much as possible. I used to keep, because we used to do a lot of food items with blue cheese, so when it was cool enough in the kitchen, I just used to keep it out, and I would keep it in the fridge, so that way the fridge, I was standing right in front of it, so he would have to walk. He wouldn't be able to get into there, but he had like this little island in front of me where we do like food prep, and sometimes he would just take the blue cheese and he'd be like he'd put some in his mouth, be sticking his fingers back in, and he used to do that with the barbecue ribs too. I used to put the ribs, I used to cool them off and get them in the fridge as soon as possible because he was picking at the ribs too, and I had to show the owner. I told the owner about it, and it's funny, the owner, he accused me of doing things without witnessing it, without seeing it. And this dishwasher, I told him, like, we showed him the slab of ribs that he was picking at. I think one of the waitresses that worked there told the owner's wife. And she told her husband, and I actually showed him this, being the sous chef, showed him the slab of ribs. And he's like, well, I didn't see him do it with my own eyes, so I can't accuse him. But he's like, just, keep an eye on him. Try to keep them away from the ribs, try to get them when they cook them off, you let them cool down. He said, as soon as they're cool enough to go in the cooler, just get them in the cooler as fast as possible. It's like, wow, that's funny. You can't accuse him because you didn't see him, but yet you're always accusing me. He was like never there, but yet he was always accusing me of doing things that I wasn't doing, and he obviously, it was supposedly other people's eyes. Other people were making up shit that I wasn't doing, so, yeah, I think that's all I have. It's all the fucked up shit I saw go on in restaurants. All the 10 years I worked in the food service business. So, yeah, that's all I have on that. So, have a great holiday weekend. Comment, like, share, subscribe, and be safe. I'll see you all real soon with another interesting video. Have a great holiday weekend, everybody, and please be sure to honor the veterans. And if you run into any veterans, be sure to thank them for serving. I actually ran into a Vietnam War vet at Target, and I shook his hand and said, sir, thank you for serving. Have a great holiday weekend. So, yeah, it really feels good to just to acknowledge what, other people have done for our country to try to make the country a better place, better today than it was in the past. So, yeah, definitely feels good to lend a helping hand, a thank you hand. So, yeah, once again, be safe and have a great rest of your holiday weekend, everybody. Bye.